Welcome to TESOL Job Search and Apply. I'm Karen Powell in the Career Services Center, Coordinator of Job Search Services, and I'm happy to be your guide through this experience. I'm going to be talking about starting the search and researching, and I know you all have had some coursework or lectures on how to get started on the international job search, so I'm just going to review a little bit and then talk more in depth about paperwork specifics, including optimal resume, how to write cover letters, and then services available for you in the Western Career Services Office. So, starting the international job search. It's very exciting. I recommend that you visit the Career Services website. We have a lot of tools available, and one of them is Viking Career Link, which is our job posting site for employers to post positions, and there's quite a few international opportunities posted on that right now. And then the other one is from our homepage. The virtual Viking Career Center is on the right. Scroll down to apply, and you'll see a link for international opportunities. From that page, you'll see some great information. Some of the favorite sites. So at the bottom of the first page, you click on for more exciting opportunities or something like that, more helpful resources. And scroll down to Teaching English. You'll see some programs that have general information. Transitions Abroad is a really great online magazine written by regular people, but you can call some fabulous information from that. University of Michigan has a very good international website. And then Dave's ESL Cafe has quite a bit of different types of information along with jobs if you're going to look individually. Some different types of positions to think about or consider. Adventure Teaching and Footprints are both agents. They are both located in Canada. They recruit out of Western quite a bit, so you'll see them at many of our functions, and we've had very good experience with our students when they've taken positions from those two organizations. There are many individual country programs, and you all may know about some of those in France and Spain and other countries, and we have that also listed on our website. And then something some of you may not know about are the Fulbright teaching assistantships, and those you need to apply for, as you do for JET, in the fall for the following fall. So you have to apply a year ahead. And those are very prestigious. They're a year long too, like most of the other teaching English positions overseas. Things to think about as you're deciding are the variety of programs in schools. Would you rather teach at a for-profit English language school? Most of those positions are in the afternoon, so if you're a night person, that might be a great option. They're children or adults taking the program by choice generally, and so there may be a little bit different energy, and you may have some control over what the curriculum is. Universities obviously are an older clientele than elementary schools, and some of those you request somebody with more experience, but not all the time. So those also could be appealing locations to work. And with the Fulbright teaching assistantship, sometimes they'll list where the position is, and sometimes those are in universities. And then public schools, the whole range of ages. And then other settings might be tutoring, one-on-one in countries. There are many types of opportunities like that also. So think about what's going to work for you, what age level, what hours. The public schools tend to be during the day, during the week, and what's going to fit for you and your schedule and what you want to get out of it. And then generally these are a one-year contract, although there are some programs that I've seen that for summer or 6 months you can find some shorter ones. Usually there's a travel reimbursement. There can be some catches with that. However, you want to read the fine print, read the contract, because sometimes they won't pay a travel reimbursement if you need to leave a little bit before your contract is up for some reason. Many of them have a housing or pay you an allowance, and include in health insurance, or it's a small monthly fee. And then the pay is going to vary based on the local economy. So those are all things to think about as you're looking at what to do next. So you want to research the positions and employers. Start with our website, and the link is here, or you can go to the Career Services homepage and access it that way. Learn about the geographical locations, which you've probably already been doing, and you can look at the U.S. Department of State travel information. That also, there's a link from our international page, the first page, and I've provided the link here. Find out about visa and other requirements. You can look on the electronic embassy and also who are the local consulates in Seattle. My son went to Russia and visited the Russian embassy several times. So those can be valuable sources for information. Or if there's a location you want to go to and you don't see a program, you could contact the embassy to find out if they know of something in that particular country. And then start thinking about and looking at the differences in paperwork. And we're going to talk more about that. But what does this particular employer require? A resume, an international curriculum vitae? What are they saying they need? And I'm going to give you some places to find that kind of information. So let's talk about a resume versus a curriculum vitae. What's the difference? You're going to use a resume for most domestic positions. So when you're applying within the United States, most of the time you're going to use a domestic resume, and we are most familiar with those. You're going to use a curriculum vitae both for international positions and academic or higher education. So higher education positions within the United States, that would be faculty teaching positions. And international curriculum vitae is a term you'll hear, and that's basically for resumes that you use outside of the United States. The international CV is most similar to a domestic resume, so it's not as many pages as the academic curriculum vitae, which can be well over 2, and lists publications and coursework in detail and lots of specific information. The international CV is missing a little bullet point there. Also contains personal information often. And then the academic CV, you're going to use that for faculty positions teaching, and that's very detailed, 2+ pages. We have an example of an academic CV on our website in the Optimal Resume samples. I do not have an international CV sample, but I'm happy to help you with that up yet, and I'm working on that. So here's some more information about curriculum vitae that you're going to be thinking about, whether you need that or a resume. One of the reasons I don't have a sample for an international curriculum vitae is they vary in different countries. So what I would do for, say, Germany might be different than what I would do for Japan or the Middle East or Africa. But generally they're used in Europe, Middle East, Asia, and Africa. They can include a personal section, and they do for most of those countries, and whereas you would not include that in the United States. And that's because we have equal opportunity laws in the United States that prohibits employers from asking about certain types of personal information, and those aren't present internationally necessarily. They may also require a photo of you, so you can expect that. But some of the things that you might have, and you would just include it under the heading in your regular resume, maybe on the left-hand side, a little block with citizenship, marital status, age, and dependents. But the formats can vary. You can go to the Transitions Abroad website and just put in their search tool the country that you're thinking of going to or the area and CV and see what kind of information comes up. They have information for most countries. And then we also have a book in the Career Services Center called the Global Resume and CV Guide. I apologize because it's the first edition, which is the latest edition from 2000. And I looked up to see if there's anything much more current than that, and there really isn't too much. I looked through it, and it looks pretty good, so it could be a good place to start. And then for both curriculum vitaes, international curriculum vitaes and resumes, and from here on out, I'll just say curriculum vitae or CV, and you'll know I'm referring to the international one. You're going to highlight your TESOL certification information. So besides just listing that you're getting the certificate, underneath the certificate, mention the number of hours. Many employers are looking for 100 hours of coursework, and in your program, you're obtaining much more than that. And then your practicum hours and what you do in the practicum. And then listing some of your coursework or classes could also be a strong feature. So you're going to, in both the CV and resume, you're going to be highlighting that a lot more than you might have for a regular resume to a non-TESOL job. And then read the qualifications for the position to which you're applying and target your information. That means using their vocabulary. So you can forget about plagiarizing. It's okay to read the qualifications and change your resume to match what they say. If they say verbal skills, then you might talk about your verbal skills. If they say communication skills, then you'll use the word communication. It sounds a little silly, but it makes it really easy for people to see that you're talking about the same thing they are. And it can help them to screen through resumes. And then emphasize or talk about any kind of experience you've had multiculturally, either traveling overseas or things you've done here in the United States, teaching, tutoring, experience with youth, even if it wasn't teaching, and group work. And of course, it goes without saying the TESOL experience. And I heard from Adventure Teaching. They came to the International Opportunities Fair and participated in a panel. And they were saying that they are really interested in any kind of group teaching that you've done, whether it was teaching English or anything else, that the employers that they work with and the organizations really highlight that. So now I want to talk about some resume and international CV pointers. Normally your international curriculum vitae is going to be 2 pages, unlike an academic curriculum vitae, which would be more than 2 pages usually and have a lot more detailed information. And then your resume will be 1 to 2 pages long. Often they'll be 1.5, 1.25, something like that. Whatever you need to include the relevant information. And your international CV will be just a little more detailed. Make sure that it's brief, easy to read with plenty of white space, but not too much. You want it to look good. And I've also read that you don't want to include too much fancy type or complicated formatting because you don't know what kind of equipment will be at the site where it's being received. Be consistent in style and punctuation. If you use periods, use them throughout the resume. If you're going to bold your job title, bold it on every job title. So just make it consistent. That looks neat and is easier to read. Usually you're not going going to include a job objective unless they specifically ask for one. Every once in a while I've seen something like that, but usually it just takes up room, and your objective is to apply for that position, and that will be stated in your cover letter. You're going to include personal information on most international CVs, but not on a domestic resume, and so look for the particular requirements for that position, and they'll let you know what they're going to require. And for companies like Footprints and Adventure Teaching, they're in Canada, so they also can't ask for personal information, but they're helping you with your paperwork applying to schools that are in other countries, and they will often ask for information and then help make up a portfolio for you. You normally would not include references on your resume because it takes up space unless it's requested, and every once in a while I've seen that, but you could put them on a separate page and include that, or often they'll be in an application. Include a cover letter unless they specifically ask you not to, or they ask you to write an essay or something like that in lieu of a cover letter. But it's to your advantage to include a cover letter because you get to explain all of your information and explain whatever it is from the resume that you want them to know more about. Be sure to proofread and edit and have other people proofread, because it's very easy to make a mistake. We had a resume turned into us that said that the individual had been a pizza store manger. And I'm relatively certain he was a manager. Several people didn't notice that. Our eyes just skim over that type of thing, just like spell check does if it's a real word. So you definitely want people to read it. And then if you're going to use paper, which isn't very common anymore, you're submitting applications online, but if you do, use good paper and printer, and we have a printer in Career Services along with resume paper that's free for you to use. And remember that your resume and CV are a marketing tool. They're not a history. That might go in an application, but your resume is to market your skills relevant to the desired position. I have found a job posting for a one-on-one English instructor in Japan with a GABA corporation. And as a side note, you should look up any school that you're thinking of applying to, or employer. And one of the resources you can use for that is the Glassdoor tool that we have on the Career Services homepage. I looked GABA up and they had mixed reviews. So you would want to see if that's a fit for you. But they say they are seeking enthusiastic and unique individuals who possess the following to experience living and working in Japan with GABA. They're looking for a bachelor's degree or higher. They want someone with solid people skills, native level English, and they say all nationalities considered, which isn't always the case. So that is interesting to note. Often they'll say they want somebody that is from specific countries. They want somebody that has the ability to work independently and desires to live and work in Japan with a TEFL or TESOL certification or ESL experience. So these are all the qualities that you are going to highlight when you go to work on your resume and cover letter. You're going to use this as a template almost. The highlighted qualifications is a category that comes under your heading where you have your name and address and possibly personal information if you're writing an international CV. And this section is one that's often at the top of the resume where you can target those qualities that or qualifications that have been sought in the job announcement. I sometimes call this the bait list. This showcases your strongest skills and attributes that relate to the targeted position. So it would look something like this. For the position that we read from GABA Corporation, we might say qualified ESL tutor with TESOL certificate from University Program, native English fluency. Experience working with individuals of all ages using excellent people skills through TESOL program experience and volunteer work. Strong interest and desire to experience living in Japanese culture with coursework in East Asian civilizations. An ability to live independently demonstrated through international experience. Now, to write those bullet points that will come in the section after education, where you're talking about relevant experience, you're going to use the what plus formula. You're going to write bullet points describing skills you have gained, built from duties you fulfilled, using the what plus formula. That means you ask, what have I done? What kind of tasks did I do on my job? If I was a barista, did I serve coffee? And then I'm going to elaborate. Why was that task important? Or what was my impact within the organization? How did I perform my duties? And what skills did I use or develop? So instead of serving coffee, maybe I'm going to say that I communicated effectively with a wide range of customers while serving coffee. You're going to start with an action verb, present tense for a job that I'm in now, or past tense for a past job, and I is implied. So I use I to test and make sure. I'm not going to say I developing, but I would say develop or developed. Here's another example. Waited tables at a busy restaurant, and that might become, for this type of position, displayed cultural sensitivity serving individuals from varied backgrounds and ethnicities. So this is how you're going to write the experience section of your resume to target it to a TESOL position for which you are applying. Now I want to talk about Optimal Resume, which is a tool on our website that has some really nice examples. I have an example, as I might have stated earlier, for a curriculum vitae, although it is a curriculum vitae for an academic position. But you can get an idea from all of the samples on how to set up a resume. And it's easy to use and free. I love Optimal Resume. You can access it anywhere. And so you don't need to have a flash drive, or you don't have to use your computer, and you're not going to lose it. It's easy to clone and tweak. You can make a master resume and then tweak your resume for different positions. It's entirely compatible with Word, and it has some other cool components. The interview practice is really fun and very helpful. We're going to move on to job search letters. And now that you have your resume set up or started, and you know what job you're applying for, and you have all the qualities and skills that they're seeking, how do you make a cover letter? Those can come in many names: letter of application, cover letter is the most common, letter of interest, letter of inquiry, etc. But the most common, like I said, is cover letter. It's going to be a business letter format, and we have samples on our website in the paperwork section. Normally it's going to be 11 to 12 point type, usually 11 point. You're going to match the font to your resume. Every once in a while you can go down smaller to 10 point if it's a fairly chunky font, but 11 is pretty common. Try to address it to a specific person. It's okay to call human resources, although if you're applying internationally, that might be kind of hard. And dear hiring manager or search committee could be all right also. Generally, it's 3 to 4 paragraphs on one page. And you can go over that, though, to 2 pages if you're addressing specific qualifications. Just make sure that you're being very relevant. And you want to relate all of the information to the job description. Sometimes I actually take the job description, the required qualifications, and paste them into a center of page and start writing around them. Or I set the printed page with the qualifications next to me and I check it off as I respond to those different qualifications that they're seeking. And then a little prompt that I use for myself is that the cover letter answers questions that they might have after they've looked at your resume. Did he or she have enough experience internationally? How do I know that he or she has good people skills? So you can talk about that more in the resume. And you can go to our website, to the Virtual Viking Career Center, over to the right under Prepare, Resumes and Cover Letters, and you'll see extra information on both resumes and cover letters and samples. And the cover letter samples are in two places for both the regular resume and cover letter guides, and then in the education cover letters and resume and cover letter guide. A little more information on the content of the cover letter. You're going to start out with a short paragraph, usually in the beginning, and just say this is an application for a position in the such and so school as a TESOL tutor, or whatever the position is. I was referred to this position by my instructor in my TESOL preparation course, and I'm confident that I have all of the experience and qualifications which you are seeking. So you can improve on that, I'm sure, but you get the idea that it's a short paragraph that sets you up for the rest of the letter. And then you're going to go into describing your qualifications as they relate to the position requirements and talk about you're looking for somebody that has good people skills. Here's what I've done that shows that I have good people skills. And you could mention a referral here or up in the first paragraph is often where I also would maybe mention a referral. And then you're going to just talk more about your qualifications. It may take 2 or 3 paragraphs to do that, and talk about your motivation and desire to excel in that position. The last paragraph will wrap it up, indicating your availability for an interview or a Skype interview and how to contact you. So hopefully that is some good information for you on cover letters, and also the previous information on resumes and international CVs. And that's a perfect segue into the Career Services Center resources. We have quite a few links and lots of information online for you on the international links that I've talked about previously. You're welcome to set up phone appointments for individual counseling. Viking Career Link is our job posting site, and it's free and you can keep it after you graduate. You also can set up mock interviews, and I have done Skype mock interviews also if you would like to do that, or you can ask to have more time if you're coming from out of town. And Optimal Resume I mentioned is also free to you, and you can also keep it after you graduate. You just want to set it up in a personal email account. So those are valuable things. And then we have workshops, career fairs and events, information on reference letters. Our new employment survey, the 2014-15, has just come out. And of course, we have a Peace Corps representative in our office. And then some upcoming events for you. Most of our events are for this quarter are over. Our spring career fair was last week, but we have the federal application tips coming up on May 16th and the drop-in resume clinic. Both of those, of course, are up on the Western campus. They're in Old Main 280K. And so hopefully you're able to come, but if not, set up an individual appointment, a phone appointment, and I'd be happy to do that. And then my email is karen.powell@wwu.edu. I'm happy to answer questions. You have 6 months free service after you graduate, and then there's a very small fee for alumni. And I've provided our website again, and our phone number 360-650-3240. Thank you very much. I hope some of your questions were answered, and that you feel free to contact me and let me know if you have any others. Good luck.